Yo, 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 everybody, what's up? So, congratulations. So yeah, we're in the intensive deep now, right? Um, Hope everyone got really good rest. So what I wanted to do today was keep building on the skills that we started to put into motion yesterday and over the last 3 months, right? Or whatever amount of time, something like that. And then just start to like kind of like I want to say maybe hone in into specific pieces, right? And what I want to talk about is like this place where our body, our nervous system, and these like deep subconscious, and we can even almost call them like autom automatic. Autonomic is the name of the nervous system uh system branch, I guess you could say. But automatic, these are responses deep in our body. And I'm going to make a video that'll get really deep into kind of the science of it. I don't want to spend too much time on it because it can kind of um yeah, it can just get really heady and sometimes it's like not important. But we'll touch into it enough in really, I'll say, like general, maybe basic ways so that we can start to build a deep relationship to the strategies that my body has, like deep in my bones, on how to keep me safe. And then all of the things that we've been building as far as like these, let's say, energetic templates, then there's a way that the body, the subconscious, again, like my nervous system can benefit from them, can like soften to receive them. And so the thing I'll put out there, right, is, when we're working those layers, right? So we were talking about the resistance, and I was like, feel the resistance. If it's in your shoulders, if it's in your jaw. Sometimes I'll even feel like a constriction in my head, right? Where I'm like thinking other people's opinions and my opinions. And I'm like, there's all this like tension even here, right? And when we allow ourselves to first kind of bring attention and awareness to that tension, attention to the tension, um, and we allow it to kind of soften in the body and in our emotions, right? We can call that tone matching, right? Like it has to match the tone of the thing I'm feeling, right? So, meaning if I feel afraid and I'm like, oh, it's okay to be afraid, it's different than if I'm like, whoa, there's a deep fear in my body and I can let myself kind of drop in, right? The body, the language is a language of sensation. And sensations will only open when there's a space for them to open. And we have to match the tone, right? So when there's a deep fear in my body, sometimes I'll say, or many times, that's not some shit I can journal, right? That's only something I can drop in and start to hold. And then we've used, even just yesterday, right, earth energies to hold that deep fear with us. And here's where there's techniques, right, where if there's any emotion, let's say that's outside of my skill set, or even that would overwhelm me, where I can hold it with earth energies. So if anything's outside of my capacity, the earth is holding it with me, right? But we're holding it at this depth, right? We're not like, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay. I mean, everyone feels fear, right? It's true. Those are true things, right? But there's a difference between like, no, this fear is welcome. All of me is welcome. This fear is a part of what it means to be human, right? Like I'm touching into that. My voice intonation, the way that my awareness is flowing, or even say like the way that energy is flowing through my different energy centers, right? That's all required to step into a space where the body gets to feel safe and where our body is welcome. So to do this, we have to consider, let's say, some of the definitions that the body has for safety and some of the strategies that the body has to create safety. Um, and so real quick, right? Yeah, I'll just talk about the brain a little bit. Y'all bear with me. And if y'all have taken other classes, you've probably heard me talk about this. And this is like a really simplified model, but I think it gets us there, right? So, there's like the new brain, right? And that's the frontal lobe. That's higher level thinking. I, I think the new neocortex isn't shared with any other type of animal in the animal kingdom. I think the frontal lobe, I don't even know. Anyways, right? But it's really special, right? This is where we can have awareness of things. This is where, I can be like, what do you want to have for lunch? And I'm like, I want Thai food, but we had Thai food yesterday. I want Japanese food, right? I'm like higher level thinking where I can even think about how I think, right? Like, boom, amazing, right? Where I can have awareness of my awareness, frontal lobe, right? Then there's the midbrain. And the midbrain, that part of the brain has evolved with any animals that are in like community. Like emotions are said to like come from here. And then they also say that like it's those really minute ways that we track faces. That's the limbic brain. And that's the fancy word for it, right? So generally they're saying like emotions come from here, our ability to be relational. So once we got a crew, you want to be able to look around your crew and then everyone's like smiling and then you're like, oh good, we're good, everyone's good. Or like you look around and there's like frowny faces and you're like, maybe I should frown, or maybe they're frowning at me, right? Like this part of the brain is the one in charge of that. So it starts to create, let's say, like meaning even. Um, and then the brain stem, this is what they often will call the autonomic brain system, and very similar to automatic, which I was getting stuck on, right? Because this is the part of the brain that will regulate things that are automatic. So like constriction, or or the opening of like our veins, right? Like our heart beating, and that's a really good thing, right? That this part of our brain, let's say, like regulates all of these things, right? So no one decides when to digest or not digest. Um, the bridge between the automatic parts of our brain and the conscious and willful parts of our brain, um, I forget the fancy word for it, but anyways, is the breath, right? So the breath is both unconscious, meaning most of the time we just are breathing. And we could even say like maybe our lungs are breathing us, right? Like they decide, saying the heart decides when to beat, right? Our stomach decides, right? And then there's times that we can consciously breathe, right? So oftentimes that's why breath work is a really powerful practice. And I'll say most energetic traditions, really powerful traditions, have a way that they engage the breath, and will have practices where they're like, if you control the breath, you can control the body, you can control the thoughts, you can control our energy. And it's because it's a bridge to this automatic system. So, anyways, um, so really quickly though, right? The part of our brain that is in charge of survival is this back part of the brain, the brainstem. And it's for a few reasons. One, it's because it's the fastest, right? So the example I always give is like if I was to, be a kid and touch a hot stove, right? I touch the hot stove, my body pulls back. Then I feel fear. And then I'm like, fuck stoves, right? Like, that's the last part is I'm like, whoa, what the heck? Like, yo, that wasn't cool. And then I'm like, I'm never gonna touch a stove again, or like, I'm out of here, right? Especially if you're a young person, right? You're a kid. Like, really quickly formulate an idea based on the emotion that was already there, based on a reaction of our body that was almost instant, right? And that's why this frontal lobe is the last to respond. So it takes the most resources, it takes the most time. Most of the time, when we're in really big conflict and really big like reaction, this frontal lobe doesn't even get to react yet. I'm still in survival and I'm still in let's say, like trying to create meaning, and there isn't the space to have perspective on it yet. Oftentimes, with a really big conflict, it might be a week before I even like stop and think about. I'm like, isn't that we were arguing around like where chips should be placed on the table, and then you got into like how you think I'm not a good friend, and I'm like, I know that is weird, right? Like that, let's say, reflective space is often, for me, insight of when I actually know my frontal lobe is online, right? If I'm still in the deep sensation of like, I'm like, I can't believe they said that. And I'm like, man, fuck that, people like that, blah, 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 right? Like, I'm still in the loop, right? I'm still in that reactivity. You can imagine, again, I touched the hot stove, my body jerked back, right? I reacted in a way that I believed would produce safety. My emotional response was just responding to the perceived lack of safety. The frontal lobe, I'll say, kicks on when we can start to have perspective. And again, very simple. Um, yeah, so somebody sharing like the frontal lobe doesn't even start developing after age 7, totally. Doesn't completely develop until sometimes they say like age 20. Right. And then they're saying like parts of us can be fragmented, and oftentimes they'll call this, again, and I talked about this yesterday actually, like decontextualized um trauma, or they'll call it nonverbal, meaning that it happened, like these were traumatic experiences that literally happened before that frontal lobe was online, before we had language, before we could create meaning, right? So like it's deep in our bodies. So really quick with this brainstem, right? It is just worried about survival, right? So it's like, yo, heart, do your thing, right? Heart stops doing its thing, and then it's just like, double up, man. I don't know what's going on. I think we're right. I think we're about to eat a chocolate cake or run. I'm not sure, bro, but just double, right there. When you get out of breath because you're about to eat eat something so delicious, or you're like running. So that aspect of our body, let's say, of our nervous system, of our survival system, is trained to overreact and assume. And so, if I was walking, I live in the desert, right? So if I'm walking through the desert and I hear a growl, right? Like really quickly, I'm like, oh shit, it's a mountain lion. If you live in the forest and you hear a growl and like rustling, you're going to think bear, right? Depending on where you live. And a few things happen really quickly, right? So one, um, I won't talk too much about it, but in other classes I do, and in that recording I will. A little image of a bear pops up in my mind. Maybe I've never seen a bear in person. I think I've only seen mountain lions like, one time at the zoo, one time while driving, right? But I hear a growl and rustling, and I'm like, oh, snaps. And I imagine a mountain lion eating me, right? And it's like chewing on my arm. And that's what mobilizes the resources for me to run. The reason our nervous system overreacts and assumes is because that means surviving. The last person to react is the most likely to get eaten, right? So again, we're walking in the woods, there's 20 of us, right? The first person who hears a growl and books it is gonna make it, even if it's not a mountain lion. Like chances, let's say only 1 in 10 times there's actually a mountain lion when I hear a growl. The body doesn't care. The body much rather would overreact and assume 1,000 times than underreact and underassume once, because you get eaten, right? And again, like I give the example of like you're walking, you see a weird stick, you jump and move because my body's like, oh snaps, it could be a snake. I rather look dumb 1,000,000 times than miss an opportunity to jump away from a snake, right? That's in our body, in our bones. Literally, the ancestors that overreact and assumed produced us. And so the opposite of that, where it would be I hear a growl and I'm like, well, is it a bear? Is it not a bear? And then I see a paw and I'm like, well, I see one paw. And then like the bear pops out and is like, rawr. And I'm like, but is it hungry? Right? I'm like, but is it a mean bear? Is it a nice bear? Right? Our body doesn't care. Our body's like, bro, that thing could eat you. So book it, right? And the reason this matters is because that overreacting and assumption is what often gets applied in our relationships, right? So oftentimes the bear is my supervisor giving me feedback, or our partner being like, we need to talk. And you're like, oh no, right? You're like, oh my God, right? That's the bear. And the overreacting and assuming is the thing that all these strategies are going to hold. We're going to hold them with love. We're going to honor that they have produced us, literally. And then we're just going to speak to them in a language that they understand. Start to soften, create space, create better skills, right? And maybe, and I want to go further with this, but maybe let's just like drop into these skills and then kind of, as we're softening, bringing in this lens of what are my overreactions, what are my assumptions, and then what are the strategies that I'm trying, let's say, to produce safety with, right? So again, little bear, I'm sorry, the bear, right? The little image of a bear, right? I hear a growl, I think bear, and then what do? Is I run. But then at work, there's very few things I can physically run from at work that will actually create benefit. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say your supervisor is like, hey, Ken, we need to talk about an email that you sent out. And I just get up and run out of the room. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what my body wants to do, right? Or like my body wants to just curl up and get under a chair, right? There's not too many conflicts in our workplace that really deep, visceral response is going to actually help, right? It helps with a bear. Same in our partnerships, right? Or with a family member, you know, our partner, our parents, right? Whoever, someone's upset with us. If I curl up in a ball and get under a chair, and this is a phone call with my mom, right? Where she has feedback around our job choices or partner choices. I'm trying to be as triggering as possible. So we have work, right? Like, imagine that, right? Um, as the same, like it registers in my bones in my body as unsafe, but the strategies that I have are often like run, fight, you know, and what deepen, you know, there's freeze, there's other cool ones, right? But these deep biological responses often can't produce the safety that we're promised and or that they're desperate to have. So if we bring safety to them, often we'll see these strategies be much less likely to happen instantly, right? Because I'm bringing safety to the part of me that thinks my boss is a bear instead of a clown, a clown who needs to take a vacation, right? Like, I hope it makes sense. Um, and respectfully, right? Respectfully, a clown, with all due respect. Um, so let's do it. We'll go deeper, but we'll start here. And again, I named like when we were softening those layers, we're gonna do it, but we're just gonna go a little bit more in our body. We'll still kind of drop into the energy work portion of it, but we're just gonna try to find in our body how to get into that language of sensation. So Thank y'all for bearing with me. So let's tune into our group container again. And let's just like invite those earth and universe energies. Really celebrating all of the growth that we've already been experiencing. And then let's just like reiterate our intentions for being here. And you can just kind of speak into the container or like through your inner wisdom, your intuition. Just like best case scenario, what would you learn and gain from these sessions? And then as you're speaking those intentions, let the universe, let your guides also bring in things that we don't even know to ask for, things that are so beyond our wildest dreams. Yeah. And then we're going to call on our guides and faster guidance. And we're just going to create all this, like, let's say, space to bring in both the energies, but even like this, the insight, like the templates for how to build a new relationship to our body, to our nervous system. And the information I was putting out there was like really like basic. And so just like let your own body's intelligence kind of like open. If you have a lot more information and templates on like the nervous system, you can go ahead and invite those energies in. And again, just kind of creating the energetic container from which to do this really deep work. Perfect. And so we're just going to start with bringing awareness to our body and just kind of get a baseline. So how does your body feel? You can notice what parts of your body are touching other parts of your body. So are your feet touching? Where are your hands placed? Notice what parts of your body are touching the floor, your chair. And then just notice the pressure between where your body's touching whatever you're sitting or laying on. Notice the pressure of where your body's touching other parts of your body. And just bring like gentle awareness to your breath. And then for fun, just see if you can notice maybe at the tip of your fingers or at the bottom of your feet, your heartbeat. And wherever you notice your heartbeat, just kind of let that awareness spread so you can feel your heart beating See if you can feel your pulse in your hands and fingertips. Maybe your whole arm. Focus on feeling your pulse on your right arm. And then as you're focusing on your right arm, just kind of notice what happens to your left. And then now try to feel your heartbeat at your left arm. And just kind of watch as your awareness goes from one side of your body to the other side of your body. And sometimes it just feels like a fullness. And then, a directing of that fullness. And then we're going to feel our pulse at the bottom of our feet. See if you can feel your pulse flowing through your legs. And then one more time, peek at your arms. Now that awareness isn't flowing there, see what happens. And then we're going to come back to our breath. And imagine that your breath and your pulse are connected. So as you breathe, imagine that it's your pulse that takes your breath all the way to your fingertips. And just allow yourself to inhale deeply down your arms into your fingertips. And then exhale. And just notice the places that awareness gets stuck. And just bookmark them. We're going to breathe down our torso. And just allow your breath and pulse to gently open your torso and both the front of your body, the back of your body. And again, just bookmark the places that feel stuck. Perfect. And then breathe and follow your pulse down all the way through your legs. And then we're going to bring awareness to any place where there was tension, or maybe you felt like discomfort and pain. Just bring awareness to that place and just see if you can start to breathe into it. And just see if you can feel your pulse there, just gently. And then wherever that place is, imagine that whatever tension is there, you could kind of amplify it. So almost like tense a little bit more around it. And then allow it to open. Breathe into that space. And then one more time, tense around that area. And then once again, breathe. Allow your breath and your pulse to gently open that space. And just notice the sensations. And we're going to allow Earth and universal energies to just start to nurture our body's wisdom. It's like deep intelligence, it's deep resilience. And just imagine that as you're opening that space, as you're breathing into it, that your body's natural wisdom, resilience, resources can like fill that space. And then one more time, just let your awareness kind of open and see if there's another place in your body where there's tension. And as we do that, notice that first place and just see if it's changed. Bookmark that and then just kind of come back. We're going to start by breathing into that new tension. And again, breathe into it and just almost like see how much you can feel your pulse there. And we're going to inhale intense. Exhale, allow that space to open. And just kind of take a breath or two to just kind of see did tensing and relaxing change the sensations here. And then one more time, we're going to inhale, tense. Exhale, relax. And then one more time, we're going to allow our body's wisdom and resilience and resources to follow our breath and just gently flow into this space. Good. Perfect. And now we're going to think about specific situations and allow your inner wisdom to be in charge and like pick examples that are going to be like supportive for this depth. But let's just think of, and you can imagine like a bubble of energies of how we respond to discomfort. And so see a bubble of uncomfortable energies and situations, and just see where does the tension start to build in your body. And wherever that tension, or even like whatever place starts to get like hollow, just start to breathe, connect to that place. Bring awareness to the sensation there. And then we're going to tense. Relax and open. One more time, tense. Relax and open. And again, allowing that body wisdom, resources to fill that space. And we're going to even thank our body for the way that it's been working so hard to keep us safe. So thanking it for the ways that it's been protecting us from discomfort. And now that's happening, we're going to bring earth energies. Sometimes there can be like little releases, so you can wiggle those out. You can imagine they release through your grounding cord. Sometimes different emotions can come up. And so if there are emotions or kind of like story coming up, just let those start to sit in front of you like little bubbles of energy or little pictures holding the story. We're going to bring earth energies, and then we're just going to wash over those pictures. We'll wash over those emotions with earth, with healing, nourishing water. Wash over them with the element of fire, and with that clearing contracts, cords. Using those fire energies to complete any karmic energies. We'll put magnets in front of us and behind us and just allow ourselves to release any energies. We'll refresh our grounding cord, bring up all these beautiful deep earth energies. And there's all these different structures in our body that we're working really hard to protect us, and whichever of those structures are ready to release, just allow them to release into that grounding cord. Whatever structures are needing to be updated. And then any new structures, letting the earth bring those in. Perfect. And then one more time, let's notice where we're sitting or laying down. Notice where there's pressure on your body by other parts of your body or whatever's touching the floor, your bed, couch, chair. You can even bring awareness to all the different temperatures. So notice the temperature at the top of your head versus your hands, versus your feet. We'll scan our body for tension again. Gently breathing into that space. Allowing it to open. And we're going to imagine another energy or situation sitting in front of us, and we can think of it, let's just say in general, any type of conflict. And we can think of specific situations, we can think of just a bubble of those energies. But then notice what happens in your body in the presence of conflict. What tenses, what constricts. And the same thing, bring your breath to that place. We're going to tense around that place. And gently exhale. Inhale, tense around that area. Exhale, And then just allow your breath and your pulse to gently open that part of your body. And if there's anything to wiggle out, you can wiggle it out. And then again, just allow that deep wisdom and resilience in your body to start to fill that space. Perfect. And we'll release those energies. And then we can think of having to ask for what we want and need. We can even think of just something that's deeply emotional. Those could be our own emotions, someone else expressing emotions. And again, notice what happens in your body. Where's the tension? Do I want to run? Do I want to fight? And once again, bring your breath to that place. We're going to tense to match the tone of those energies. So tense around that area. You can even put a hand on that area. And exhale, inhale, tense. And exhale, open. And again, just allow a gentle awareness, your breath. To flow into that area. And then once again, allow your body's deep wisdom and resilience to fill that space. Again, sometimes you can like wiggle and discharge those emotions. We can clear with magnets, refresh our grounding cord. And then let's put any pictures that are kicked up of moments in time that were anchoring specific stories and shapes in our body. And so just let your inner wisdom start to put all those pictures out in front of you. And we're also going to put little bubbles of unprocessed emotional energies. Unprocessed, unassimilated. And just let there be a whole mountain of these things. It's all good. And we're going to bring earth and universe energies. And then just start to wash over all of these pictures and emotions. The earth is going to tone match them, honor them, and just gently start to wash over them. We'll bring healing, nourishing water. And just imagine that all of these different emotions and moments in time are healed and blessed by that water. Bring the element of fire. And that element of fire, we're going to complete soul contracts. Complete karmic cycles and karmic energies. Bring the element of wind and just offer another clearing there. Good. We're going to have our guides recall authentic energies. We're going to let this reset our identity, our self-concept, even like our story, who we think we are, how we talk to ourselves, how we talk about ourselves. We're going to let that involve our behaviors, our different strategies for getting needs met, our different strategies for creating safety. Good. We'll bring lots of sparkles in. And then we're just going to go back to that meditation we did last week. And yesterday. Let's just imagine like those earth and universal energies come up. They're going to touch and hold our first energy center. And just allow a deep sense of safety to open. So from our inner wisdom, in collaboration with the earth and the universe, just allowing a deep safety to open in our first center. And as those energies are flowing, if there's anything to heal, soothe, nurture at that first center, we bring that in. We'll allow those earth and universal energies to flow to our second center, just giving us full permission to release inauthentic energies, inauthentic programs. Just allowing our authentic energies to be grounded in our second center. Allowing those energies to flow through our body, our aura. We'll allow these energies to open our third center. Just however much power feels appropriate. Allowing our authentic expression of that to be celebrated. Allowing our heart center to get opened. And again, just allowing it to have a range. Letting our heart choose how open it wants to be in any given situation. We'll allow those earth and universal energies to open our throat. Celebrating our truth. Our ability to live from our truth, speak from our truth. Allow these energies to clear, evolve, heal our third eye and crown, supporting clarity and insight, perspective. And with all of these beautiful energetic resources, just allowing these beautiful resources to be available for our body to resource into. And sometimes I like to imagine that these energies like flow into my like blood, my muscles, bones. You can imagine your different organs, even each cell in your body gets to connect to these energies. And even on a genetic and epigenetic level, allowing our inner wisdom to just whatever of these beautiful energies that we have available. And while collaborating with the earth, the universe, this container, just allowing any healings, any like little evolutions on a genetic and epigenetic level for those to come in. And we'll offer all of these energies back in time, allowing younger moments in time to have all these beautiful resources, and then allowing that to evolve our past, evolve our present, and evolve our future. Bringing lots of sparkles in. And boom. So I'm going to talk now about kind of that. We were talking about that freeze response. And I kind of talked about it as being like a little bit scrambly. And so this is when, again, there's no bear, but I'll say, again, with that example of my boss, supervisor, I think about writing emails, let's say telling somebody I like them, telling somebody I don't like them, right? Whatever that is, right? There's all this intensity in our bodies. There can be this moment where we're not in a freeze response, right? Where I'm not in my bed wanting to curl up, although that we can include that, right? But there's just an amount of disconnection. And if we think about the freeze response as being like, so going back to like that very specific trauma framework, right? Normally what would happen in a freeze response is like, and I had a cat, I still have a cat now, but I had two cats for a while and they were hunters, and I would see them wake up, like look around, right? And then find a bird, and then they hyper focus, right? They see the bird, right? They go really slow, they mobilize all these resources, they attack the bird. The second they attack the bird and get it, they go from hyper focused to then they start to open their awareness, right? Because once they catch the bird, right, they want to look around to see, like, did anyone see that I caught the bird, right? Because maybe there's a bigger cat about to eat my cat, or a hawk, right? Um, Here in Tucson, like, there's been so many times I would hear my cat make a sound or get really quiet. And this happened like 5 times. I would walk outside and a hawk would swoop and then leave because I walked in front of my cat. And I could just tell, I could feel my cat's nervous system shift. And so I would like be like, what's going on? you know? And then yeah, so it was cute. So right, once it catches the little bird, now for its own safety, it has to open and return to, we'll talk more about it, but return to orientation, right? To orienting to its environment. That hypervigilance, that open space, if there isn't resources, if there isn't flexibility, then it won't happen. Sometimes in our relationships, we stay stuck in that hypervigilance. right? So I'm just watching. Does that person like me? Did they not like me? Did they think I was mean? Did I sneeze too loud? Did I share enough? Did I share too much? Right? I'm hyper vigilant. And then I go home and I'm like in bed and I'm like, oh my God, that was so weird. I'm like, should I text them? I'm like, I'm gonna text them. And then I text them, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry I said that. And I'm like, oh my God, it was so weird that I texted them. Right? Like, um, that's that same hypervigilance. Right? People are saying, um, so what I'm wanting us to do, right, is to both bring awareness to that hypervigilance, but then I also want to bring our attention to the little bird, right? So let's say the little bird, right? So it's hanging out with its bird friends, chirping, eating seeds. A cat out of nowhere gets it, right? And it's just like, most of the time the bird fights, right? After a while, though, if the bird doesn't get freed up, it freezes. And if anyone ever has had chickens or even like I think lizards do it, right? If you flip them over, the chicken's like fighting you, and then if you flip it over, it's just like it's just like okay, and it still will look at you. You know, I don't know again if y'all have ever caught a lizard, but like the lizard's frozen, but if you move it, it still follows you. It's still like I don't know, you know, but it's completely immobile. The immobility is because let's say the bird gets caught, the cat goes from hyper focused to open awareness to looking around, and then my cat might catch one bird and it's like one bird is good, and then it's like whoa, what if I catch two birds, and then that little birdie now has an opportunity to mobilize all of those paused resources and be free. And that happens all the time, you know. Some of them are really cute videos, right, where like a lion will catch an antelope. The lion and the rest of the lions are like fighting around who's going to eat the antelope, and the antelope just like pops up and runs. Right, and you see these videos, right? um yeah, it happens all the time too, like you know, sometimes like you think something's dead and you like poke it, nothing happens, you poke it, nothing happens, and you poke it again, and then like it pops up, and like often with little kids they freak out, right? So I'm sure we can find these videos on YouTube. But what we want to do is almost like allow for that aspect of our nervous system as well, right? There's times that we're frozen. We're meant to be gathering resources. We're meant to then like allow those resources to like, I'll say like rejuvenate, like completely shatter the world that we were in. You know, I think there's natural moments of like disillusion, of groundlessness, you know, of being in bed for 2 or 3 days. Um, and then there's meant to be a burst of energy, but we can stay in this really high functioning freeze where I don't let myself be in bed for 3 days. I'm in bed for one day. I force myself to go to work. I force myself to be in relationships, but I'm just like not there. Like literally, like I just am not there. But I neither let myself freeze, dissolve, and reset, and I don't let myself like be fully present either. And it's just this like limbo that happens. I'll give a quick example if this is helpful. Um, Wait, I don't even think it's necessary. Maybe I can give other examples, but with this freeze response, the difference between a freeze response and let's say like hypervigilance is just the energy, let's say like energy level, right? Like this is a low tone, inviting, softening, resting, resetting. The hypervigilance just has like it just has a charge, right? It has stuck compressed energies. So it has like stuck compressed hurt or anger. So when we're working with the body, it might not necessarily be different, right? But it's just something to be aware of. is that I might need to soften, let myself rest into, let's say, completing a freeze response. Versus over here, I need to soften and rest, and there's going to be a backlog of anger and hurt, a backlog of intensity here. And so I just need to like be aware that as I open these, you know, as I open and unlock these areas, they're going to need something from me. And here we have a really sweet container. There's all these resources. We have our intuition and our inner wisdom in charge. So it's hard to overdo it. We have to really not be paying attention. But by ourselves, I'll say, always ask for help. Although I can do this stuff by myself, I generally have friends that I ask to do this work with. I can do it by myself. I have these skills. I mean, I'm teaching y'all how to do it. But for me to do it by myself, it's like I have to both hold my fear, validate it, start to like let myself be aware of the crazy shit that I saw, clear the programs, shift the soul contract, honor my ancestral lineage and all of the crazy shit that they saw, hold all those things, discharge my nervous, you know what I'm saying? Like tone, hold myself, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot to try to do um by ourselves. Just having another person there to be like, hey, I normally get stuck when fear comes up. Literally just having somebody on the phone or in our presence can create a lot of stability. Even better is like if y'all have people that you trust to be like, hey, I've been doing all this work, I found these emotions, but I realize that like, I they're just too big for me to open. Or I realize I just freeze when I touch into this place, or even this emotion makes me afraid that if I touch it, I'm never gonna stop crying. Or if I touch it, I'm just gonna be in bed for 3 days, and I have shit I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? I can't afford 3 more days in bed. Like I'm already at day 5 in bed. I'm just kidding. So yeah, just kind of putting it out there that it's okay to ask for help here. I'm teaching y'all these skills not so we can go at it alone, um, but so that we can do this in community, so that we can hold this space for others, so that we have the map, right? But again, truly, yeah, I rarely will do this work by myself because it literally can take 30 minutes with a friend, while by myself it would take hours to do. I can do it, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's cooler shit I can do in 3 hours. Then so I hope this is all making sense. What this will do is it's gonna allow, instead of this all this survival stuff in how we relate to people, it's gonna allow all this like let's say like gentle awareness and resource into how we relate to people. And often they'll call this like the social engagement brain, and like the social engagement aspect of our nervous system. And that part of the nervous system is built on those other systems feeling safe, right? So I have to feel safe before I can engage a conversation with my friend. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a bear and it's like, roar. And I'm like, hey, while you're running, I'm just curious if you want to talk more about why you ran in a different direction from me. That was kind of weird, and like I'm not engaging anybody in discussion. I can't attune with anybody, right? Again, like if there's a bear coming, I'm not aware of the bear is happy or sad. I'm not aware of, I'm not thinking about things. I'm not thinking about what I could be doing my day, whether my mom is proud of me, right? Like social engagement requires all of those other aspects of the brain, feeling safe, feeling resourced. Um, I've shared this with y'all, like, so bringing that language back, it's like my emotions have to trust me, right? My fear has to trust me. My anger has to trust me. When those are in place, then social engagement can like flow. Otherwise, I think someone making a frowny face means I'm in danger. And I'm like, they make a frowny face, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm not funny. That's right. My mom always said I was never gonna, right? Like, and it's just like, like all these backlog. And I think about really little interactions, especially with family, right? They're like, um, my mom used to always be like, Ken, like when a teacher's talking to you, you need to stop. You need to look at the teacher, or else, right? And then the or else for my mom is like, or else you're gonna be a bad student, and then you're gonna be a bad person. You're never gonna get a good job. You're gonna cheat on your taxes. You're gonna kick your dog, and then you're gonna end up. I think my mom's worst fears are right. You're gonna end up, you know, I don't know. Yeah, you're gonna end up a bad person, right? Right. And but there's all this intensity to these very small things, right? If you don't wake up and go to school on time, all of these, and similarly, right, it's like, if this person doesn't smile at my joke, then I'm not funny, then I'm not cool, then I'm not a good person, then because I'm not a good person I should just stay home, just like my mom said. And just like these three examples showed me, you know what I'm saying? And it's just person not smiling. But then there's like, and what we're doing is we're unraveling the and thens by softening these layers, clearing the charge and the need and the emotion, right? So instead of an and then I'm bad, I'm holding the charge, holding the intensity of the anger, healing it, dropping in their shame, holding the shame, giving it space, honoring it, releasing it, holding that I've never felt worthy of love. All of these examples, I hold those examples, heal them, release them. I allow this deep, intrinsic, innate worth to open deep in my body, deep in my bones. Like, no one has to tell me I'm worthy. It's like the life that's living me is worthy. That flows, that shatters all these behaviors, all these strategies, that shatters the hypervigilance, that shatters the freeze when someone does slaff, like half smile, right? They can all shatter because something deeper got fed, nourished, created. It's weird. I know. But does this make sense? Okay, man. The accuracy of these examples totally makes sense. The pressure, the spiral, good. Okay. It makes sense. Okay. I know I talk about things way too much, make things complicated. It's really simple in practice. Um, I'm just trying to like give us a little map to go off of. Um, cool. Y'all can be in the chat if y'all have more questions. And with all of these things, again, it's literally the proof is in the pudding. If something feels shitty, grab it. If something feels uncomfortable, grab it. Even if something feels happy, but you're scared for it to go away, like scoop all of that shit up. That's rocket fuel for this work. Um, Even, and some of us might have different patterns. Times when I feel numb, be unwilling to just be like, what do I feel? And I'm like, I'm hungry. I'm like, I want chicken sandwiches, right? Like, don't let yourself miss these opportunities, right? Again, like, I'm like, I feel mad. And I'm like, why do you feel mad? Because that guy's an asshole, right? Like, don't, that guy might be an asshole. It might be true, right? But whenever there's a charged emotion, there's an opportunity for you to drop through those layers and shatter disconnection with self, like shatter gaps in our awareness, any situation, any conflict, and still respond to the conflict, right? Again, person can still be a jerk, right? But there's this opportunity to dive in really deep. So that's my sales pitch. Hope it's making sense. So we're gonna drop in, and then we'll touch into a little bit of the body stuff, but we're gonna do kind of that clean energy work that we did yesterday, since I think that stuff is fun. So if that sounds good, we're gonna tune into our group container again. And this time we're gonna really like mobilize all of these beautiful big resources. And again, this is all about our body intelligence. This is about our truth. I'm putting things out there that are my opinions. Their perspective. I have an informed perspective, but it's just my perspective. And just create a lot of space for your unique exploration. And then bring a lot of awareness, space, gentleness into whatever emotions are yours, whatever pattern of emotions, patterns of behaviors. That's what we're going to work on. And we're just going to start by welcoming. Perfect. And then we're going to call on our guides, bring that vaster guidance, and let them know that we're going to work on that freeze response, an high functioning freeze response, hypervigilance, and just like working on how we can heal and evolve, how we move through our relationships. And then we're going to bring awareness to our individual aura. We'll put magnets in front of us and behind us to release energies into. We'll refresh our grounding cord. And bring all these deep resources. We'll have our guides recall authentic energies. And this time we're going to just start by scanning for any resistance, any defensiveness. And you can find that in your body, or you can just energetically see, what am I resisting, reacting, defending? Even if there's anything I feel like disconnected from. We're going to bring those earth and universe energies. We're going to gently honor that these are strategies that we're using to keep ourselves safe. We're going to thank these energies for how they've worked so hard to keep us safe. And then we're just going to give them gentle permission to soften, open, release. And as that happens, just kind of notice what's underneath that layer. What emotion, what sensation, what stories are there? We're going to bring earth and universe energies, and then we're just going to start to wash over those energies with earth, with healing, nourishing water, the element of fire, and then just give those emotions full permission to ask from the earth and universe for exactly what they want and need. So giving them permission to receive the hug that they want and need. And as that happens, we're just going to go down one more layer. Find any resistance, any guarding, any tension. Thank it again for creating safety. Letting that open. Notice the unique emotion that's underneath that. Bring all these beautiful resources. Gently wash over that emotion with those energies. Giving that emotion full permission to be loved, held, celebrated. Again, allowing ourselves to see this emotion as part of our wholeness, worthy of our love and celebration. Good. And just to kind of find that tone, we're going to just allow those energies of like a freeze response to kind of like be sitting out in a bubble in front of you. And those can be specific moments in time where we froze. And whether we knew it at the time or not, maybe we froze in a specific situation. Maybe we were frozen for a number of days. We're going to keep those kind of out in front of us. And once again, just notice in your aura, what does that feel like? Right? What's like the step-by-step process of freezing? What collapses first? What goes second? What emotion is there? What self-talk is there? And so we're going to bring earth energies, what magnets in front of us and behind us to release energies into. Wash over our aura with earth, with healing, nourishing water. We're going to bring the element of fire and just start completing contracts, cords, karmic energies. Again, we're going to honor that this freeze response has kept human bodies safe since time immemorial. And we can fully honor it and also inform it that sometimes it doesn't help us. And as we're honoring it, we're just going to start to wash over that bubble with earth energies, with healing, nourishing water, with the element of fire and wind. And just start giving that freeze response energies permission to ask from the earth and universe for whatever they want and need. And you can imagine that those resources just like flood that little bubble. So a whole rainbow of energies wash over it. And we'll be clearing with magnets. We'll refresh our grounding cord. Let the earth and universe reset your energy centers again. That deep safety in our first center, choice and clarity in our second, that flow of power in our third, that full range of energies at our heart, our open throat, clarity, insight, perspective at our third eye and crown. And just imagining that bubble of the freeze response can both heal, it can evolve and awaken. And allow those transmuted energies, however much is appropriate, guided by your inner wisdom, to reintegrate back into your system. Whenever these energies want to release into the earth, these transmuted energies, if you feel guided and it feels supportive, they can go be offered back through our ancestral line. It can become a template for other humans if we send it through the collective. There we go. Good. And we'll put magnets in front of us and behind us. We're going to reset our grounding cord. We'll recall authentic energies. And almost like let your body assimilate this new information. Let it evolve your body's intelligence, the options that it has when it feels unsafe. So if I hear and see a bear, I can still run. If I'm in a disagreement with my boss, instead of running, I can mobilize a different set of body resources. And let that reset your nervous system. Let that reset your energy body. Perfect. And one more time, we're going to recall our authentic energies, clear with magnets, refresh our grounding cord. And now we're going to make a bubble for that hypervigilance. And again, that bubble can have different examples of when we were hypervigilant, of the different feelings and sensations in our body. can also just be collective energies of hypervigilance. We're just going to bring awareness to any resistance, any reactivity, any rejection of this hypervigilance. We're going to thank these energies for the way that they're working to protect us. We'll thank these energies for the space that they're creating. And then we're just going to let them soften and open. And just notice the emotions underneath this. And again, we're going to welcome that these emotions are a part of what it means to be human. We're going to wash over them with earth energies, with healing, nourishing water, the element of fire. We'll clear contracts, complete karmic energies, complete cords. And then just give each of those emotions full permission to ask from the earth and universe for whatever they want and need so that they can totally heal. Yeah. And then as that happens, let's just find another layer of guarding resistance. Gently honor that layer and how it's attempting to protect us. As we honor that layer, allowing it to soften and open, welcoming the emotions underneath it. We'll bring earth and universal energies to honor those emotions. We'll wash over them with the whole rainbow of energies, supporting those emotions in healing, being nurtured, nourished, soothed, cared for. Allowing this to be welcome in what it means to be human. Welcoming as part of us. We're going to bring awareness to that hypervigilance. We're going to wash over it with the elements. So washing over it with earth, with healing, nourishing water, the element of fire, completing contracts and cords, karmic energies, the element of wind. And then we're going to bring that whole rainbow of energies and give that hypervigilance full permission to heal, deeply honoring how hard it's working to create safety. Maybe having deep compassion for how much fear it has, how alone and stuck it feels. And we're going to give that hypervigilance permission to heal, evolve, awaken. And allowing all these energies to like enlighten, actualize, liberate that bubble. And as that happens, however much is appropriate to release into the earth, the universe, however much is appropriate for it to reintegrate into my system, just let that happen. We're going to let this part of the process clear, dissolve, and integrate. We'll put a little magnet at the front and back of every energy center. And just let all of your centers clear and release. We're going to refresh our grounding cord. We're going to recall authentic energies. And then those different bubbles of our family, our ancestral lineage, workplace, society, our different collective identities. We're going to honor each of those explorations. And we're just going to put a little star at the edge of all these collective groups. And we're going to recall our authentic energies back from them. And then give them back any of their energies. One more time, recalling our authentic energies back. And then giving back their authentic energies. And one more time, on a deeper level, we're going to acknowledge each of these explorations. We're going to honor each of these explorations. And then we're also going to honor our unique exploration. And then one more time, recall your authentic energies. Release any of those collective programs, any cords. We'll let that part of the process clear, dissolve, and integrate. And then we're just going to make a little symbol to represent our soul. And we'll wash over our soul with earth energies. We'll gently wash over our soul with healing, nourishing water. The element of fire, allowing our soul to complete contracts. Allowing our soul to complete karmic energies. We'll bring the element of wind. And then we're going to make an energetic spa. And just give our soul full permission to rest, to receive, to soften, to be cared for, to feel safe. Allowing all of the deep core needs of our soul to be met and deeply nourished and celebrated. And then we're going to let that part of the process clear, dissolve, and integrate. One more time, we'll put magnets in front of us and behind us to release energies. Refresh our grounding cord. We'll allow our whole identity spectrum, so the relationship between our body and subconscious, our conscious mind, our soul, our essence, just allowing all of those to like recalibrate, to like realign, allowing our identity to reset, our self-concept, our self-talk, or even our whole life story to reset. Allowing that to reset our nervous system, our belief system, offering these energies back in time, putting magnets in front and behind all of our timeline to clear energies, refreshing our grounding cord across time, having our guides recall authentic energies across time, letting that evolve our past, letting that evolve our present, allowing that to evolve the future probabilities that we're connected to. And then we're going to send out that little spiritual text message to evolve all of our relationships. We'll bring lots of sparkles. We'll refresh our grounding cord and just have deep, beautiful earth energies come up and celebrate us, celebrate our container, validating all of this big work that we're doing. And that's a validation on a soul level, essence level, personality level. And boom.